Well, hello, and welcome to Astrology Breakdown with my psychic connection. I am Squirrel, and I'm going to be telling you the astrology of mythology, the story of Libra. And I'll be joined in a little bit after the story with by Journey Ryan, because it is a duo show. But let's talk about Libra. I have to tell you, bear with me because this is a little bit complicated and a little convoluted. So just bear with me and try to keep up because it's crazy, all right? So Libra is the seventh sign in the zodiac. Starting with Aries, goes to Libra seventh. It is masculine cardinal air. And energy says, Wowzer, what a great intro to the show. It was beautiful, wasn't it? I really, really like the new intro. So Libra is masculine cardinal air. It is one of the zodiac constellations of the 48, first cataloged by Claudius Ptolemy in the Almagest in the 2nd century AD. Now it's found in the southern sky and it's positioned between Scorpius to the east and Virgo to the west. And my hands might be going the wrong way, but I don't know direction anyway. So just east and west. So it's really steeped like deep into Babylonian mythology and astrology or astronomy. Um, the Babylonians called it Ziba'ana, and I may be slaughtering that, but it's Ziba'ana, which means the balance of heaven. Around 1000 years BC, it had this name. And that was the balance of heaven, meant when the autumnal equinox lied among the stars of Libra or Ziba'ana, and alternately at the same time, it was the balance of heaven and then the claws of Scorpio. So the Babylonians named it first that we know of any recorded evidence of what this was. So fast forward to ancient Greece between 1100 and 146 BC, and the ancient Greeks knew this part of the sky occupied by the Libra constellation as Shalai or Klai, the claws of Scorpio. They considered it part of the Scorpio constellation. It was not in and of itself its own constellation. So again, the Kai represented the scorpion's claws. Now we're going to fast forward again 100 years to Imperial Rome, 31 BC to 476 AD. Now, the Romans associated the scale with trade, since measuring scales with trade. Measuring equal quantities of items was really important to their culture in trade. Now, Libra, the word, is Latin for balance or the scales. So they also associated this part of the constellation with the Roman goddess of justice. Now, we see a lot of artwork related to the practice of law depicting the blindfolded woman holding the scales up like this. The concept of blind justice goes back all the way to the Roman times when Libra was invented. And you heard me right. Roman times. 1,000 years after Greek astrology. The Romans invented Libra. Okay. Now, as I will go into that, I promise. They, as a reminder that Libra was once considered a part of the Scorpio constellation, the brightest stars in Libra, um, named, and I'm going to slaughter this because it's Arabic. So we can all go on Google later and see how it's really pronounced, is Zubin Shamali, which means the northern claw in Arabic, and Alpha Libra or Zubin al-Ganubi is the southern claw. So while the Romans renamed it Libra, they also honored that it was part of the scorpion. So Claudius Ptolemy, in his book The Almagest, continued like to refer to the constellation as the claws and it not as a whole constellation in and of itself. He really wanted to follow the Greek tradition. So there was some argument about who and what this particular part of the sky was for a couple of hundred years. Now, we don't know exactly why or when Libra was pulled apart from Scorpius, but we do know that it was in place by at least the 2nd century AD. Now, the first instance of Libra actually being referred to as a full constellation of its own was after 46 BC. AD, 46 AD, blah, 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 time. After 46 AD, after the Julius calendar was created. So nobody even saw Libra as a constellation until the Romans came. Now, the Romans claim, and this is where it gets so cool, y'all. The Romans claim that Libra was added by them to the original 11 signs. You heard that right. Original 11 signs of Greek mythology. And it's doubtlessly at least correct in the case that they did create Libra as a full constellation. Um, it first appeared after the Julian calendar. Now, Libra, as I said earlier, means weight or scales. And it it also refers to pounds. And anybody who is wondering, well, why pounds has the LB signature, like that's what we abbreviate pounds with. It is actually short for Libra. Libra. So I think that's cool. It's got the etymology mixed in there too. And I do love the wordplay, right? So again, the constellation of Libra, the scales, was originally known as the Claw of Scorpio by the Greeks. And before that, that would be originally the balance of heaven because of its perfect balance between night and day. And also, they referred to it as the claws of Scorpio. So and this reason is why classical authors claim, so there is a claim to this, that although there were 12 divisions of the zodiac by the Greeks and the Babylonians, there were only 11 zodiacal figures. Libra did not exist as a zodiac sign, right? Biggest kept secret ever. And I did a workshop, a very quick, like 5-minute segment on each zodiac sign. And I thought it was so cool that Libra was considered part of Scorpio's claws and then alternately part of Virgo's holding the scale. That in both instances, Libra was a part of another constellation entirely. I thought it was so cool. And I ended it like that. There is no story, y'all. There is no mythology because it wasn't considered Libra for the Greeks. Um, and then I started thinking after the workshop, I'm like, well, what the hell was it? And I had to really dig deep to find all this information. It was driving me crazy. And when I finally found that there were only 11 signs, I was like, well, I'll be damned. Consider that. The Romans changed astrology. It, this is really new stuff in the grand scheme of things. So, why did they change it? Well, the Romans visualized Libra as a balance between the sun, because the sun lay within it at the autumnal equinox, and they were explaining this more astrologically. I couldn't even get that out. Astrologically than astronomically, because by the times the Romans came around, the the actual autumnal equinox had moved into Virgo, and that was around 730 AD. So it's actually the Babylonians, the early Mesopotamia, where it was actually in the autumnal equinox. So the Romans didn't just say, we're just going to come in and change this stuff because we want to. They really did their research, and they studied all the way back to the Babylonian times, and they said, hey, this is the clause of Scorpio, but it's the balance of heaven. And the Roman Empire, those people believed that Rome was the balance of heaven. They believed in harmony, they believed in balance, they believed in making everything come across right. And it wasn't just about good, it wasn't just about bad. It was a true balance, because you can't have balance without both, correct? So they also believed that Rome was founded when the moon was in the constellation of Libra. And the moon is our deepest, most emotional needs, our instinct. So they believed that they were Libra, actually. They thought that the balance and order that Libra brought represented their idea of how society should be. And they did not think that Libra belonged to the dangerous energy of Scorpio, but rather the gentle energy of Virgo and Estrella. To the Romans, Libra was a favored constellation. Now, remember, the idea of balance in this area does go back to the Babylonian Ziba'ana, and that it was actually in the equinox there. So they brought something from centuries before back into the zodiac. Now, this fascinates me because Libra is about balance. And one of the predominant Libran traits, even in modern astrology, is that they need to be in relationships with other people, not necessarily just romantic relationships. But Librans are happiest when they are connected to somebody else. So you've got this constellation that is part of Scorpio, the claws, and part of Virgo, the scales. And what fascinates me the most is that Libra truly is both the light and the dark. Yes, in modern astrology, we hear all about the balance of Libra, the harmony of Libra, the beauty of Libra, and it's true, it's there. But what about the darkness? What about that Libra need that if things are going too well, they got to scale it down and bring it back to the middle. And they can swing either way, Scorpio grr or Virgo ah. And they're neither Scorpio nor Virgo. They are truly Libra, but they're part of more. And that is what gets me all excited. So, no mythological story like every other zodiac sign. In fact, another difference about it is the only zodiac sign that is an inanimate object. So instead of representing Rome as a living, breathing thing, they made it a scale, a true balance, that autumnal perfect equinox where night and day are the same time. But Libra is so complicated because of this. So that's the story of Libra. Sorry if there wasn't anything, all the dynamics of the gods and everything, but there truly is no Greek equivalent for the mythology.
That's so interesting with this story because as you look at it, you look at Libra and you see the balance of the scales.
Yep.
Libra ends up becoming the 12th zodiac. In this sense, if you think about it, in order to make a 12th zodiac sign, they had to take a little from each other zodiac in order to create a Libra. And psychically, now my mind is going psychically with this, that Libra takes the traits of every single zodiac that already exists because it had to take a little bit of each one in order to create itself.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it is a part of everything.
And it's
I'm
funny,
I'm
they made it
trying to
balanced. They made it
yes.
balanced as this thing. So as you were talking about the lumps, now I'm listening the whole time and I'm watching this play in my own psychic mind, and I'm watching them taking the blocks and putting it on this part of the scale, and the traits from this sign and putting it on this side of the scale, and taking the blocks from this, and they were balancing it out.
They were, but
Mm.
modern astrology, and I swear to God, y'all, modern astrology is written by Librans and Aquarians because everything you see on Librans and Aquarians is, oh, they're so great. Uh, they're everything. All the other
Man,
signs they like dog the hell out of. Energy says, love the way you brought the history to life. It just shows how astrology, even in ancient times, was evolving. I love that energy. Thank you. Yes, always evolving because we are not the same as those ancient people. Astrology has to be able to evolve. But the Romans did it right. They researched. And Word says, hi, Word, my rule signs are Virgo 22, 2 Procent Libra 22, 2 and Taurus 22. Wow. 2, how sick. Wow. Oh, Lord.
exactly. That's what I was thinking too. When I saw that, I was like, we got to put this on the screen, folks.
Wow. Those are tight orbs. Oh, wait, that's what he said. No, sorry. Energy says Librans can be extremely needy. They are known, and I'm going to say an unhealthy Libran can definitely show up this way. They are known as often being codependent and needing to like not feeling alive or being very depressed if they are not part of another. And I that's one of the things that excites me so much about it being both, two separate constellations turned into one constellation, one piece of them, like they are nothing by themselves, which Libras don't think I'm saying you're nothing by yourselves, but the constellation itself. See, the constellation, there's a zodiac line, and each of the zodiac actually goes along this line. Um, so you've got Aries, and it's always turning, and the constellations actually aren't the the astrology is based on. It's the planets, but the constellations are how everything plays out, the energy, the emotions behind it. So the constellations are important, but they're not the main players. So you've got this line around the zodiac that these signs, these constellations are actually on. And I know you keep hearing about that. Like every few years, we hear about the 13th sign. You've heard
We're gonna
about
have a
that?
show.
Huh?
Remember, we're gonna have a show about the 13th sign. Don't give too much away.
Okay, okay, okay. Then you guys are gonna have to come for that show about the 13th sign. Um, it's cool.
It's gonna be
But
awesome.
But I also find it so cool that there were only 11 signs. There were 12 parts on that zodiac, but Libra, the claws and the scales, were that 12th part. But there were only actually 11 frickin' signs. Aquarius was a really long sign because in Babylonian times, that was the rainy season. They had like 2 months worth of rainy season where nothing would grow. And it was actually considered a really unlucky sign to be born under. But Libra, that the Romans loved Libra. And over time, it seems like modern astrology has touted all the good things about Libra, the ambassadorial, the ability to bridge gaps between people. And they do have some beautiful qualities, but they do also, that's the clause, they got an evil, I'll cut you, you know? It's just, it takes a lot for that to come out of some of them.
So, and then we're talking about balance. Now, I'm going back to kind of what I was talking about when it came to the scale and that Libra had to take from everybody. Libra is about
Yeah.
having balance and trying to create balance for everybody else. And you can find yourself, it is not hard to create, and I'm going to say create again. Here we are with the word create. It's not hard to create a toxic Libra because they want the balance, but they absorb your they'll take that toxic trait that you were so they can create the balance, and they
Yeah.
end up inheriting that negativity, and it's hard for them to shake it because they want to make good with what was wronged or what was bad. So how do I create balance with that? You don't. You need to let it go. Libras have a hard time letting go, and as we were just saying, they are extremely clingy or needy. At the same time, they also need to feel like they fixed it. If Libras don't get that feeling that they have fixed the problem, they will
Yeah.
completely dwell on it until they get some type of resolution on it. They need that balance to happen. And if not, they'll hold on to it. And the problem is when they hold on to it, that bleeds into their regular lives.
And most unhealthy Librans that do hold on to the negativity, um, they're responding to unfairness or what they perceive as unfairness.
Right.
Um, that's the one thing that a Libran that's the one thing that will piss a Libra off if they feel that somebody's being unfair to them or they see something unfair being done to either loved ones or strangers. It really distresses them. And they respond with that scorpion claw. That's, I had the hardest time understanding Libras when I was learning astrology. And I I think of cardinal energy as barking out, speaking up, um proactive, doing things like that. Hi, Cassidy. And being really proactive and confident. But Libra energy a lot of times comes off as passive aggressive. And
It,
it's really cool to me to see that it's part of Virgo, it's part of Scorpio, and that's where that passive aggressive Libras can be really hard to read because they're the passive aggressiveness and the being part of so many other things. They don't always present with the energies that they're attributed. If that makes any sense.
it does. It makes complete
Yeah.
sense.
And Ward says, I'm good at numerology, but starting to learn astrology now. All right, Ward. You should come visit
Well,
us on Wednesday nights at midnight. We'll be talking astrology every
we're going to be
Wednesday.
breaking it down and teaching you guys some stuff. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
And energy says, in the negative, they can try to live their lives through others when out of balance. Yes, yes. And everybody thinks that balance is a good thing, which it should be. And Tiffany says it does make complete sense. Thank you, Tiffany. But sometimes a Libra's balance, astrology is all about perception, reality is all about perception. No two realities look alike completely. So there are great many Librans that when somebody else is too happy when they're not, oh, they will go out of their way to piss in your Wheaties because that's their view, their version, their reality of balance. So balance, depending
You
on
to live in their
coming at it.
reality.
Say again.
They Libras need you to live in their reality.
Yep. Yep. And if you're not part of the balance they need, they will mess you up. They're mean. Not every Libran, but the ones that are out of whack are very mean. So, and Tiffany says, my reality looks different than yours because my astrology is different than yours. Absolutely. Astrology is all about our perception. And energy says, yes, reality is in the eye of the beholder. It certainly is. And astrology is from the perception of Earth. We live on Earth. So this is our view and how we view the planets around us. And then each chart is so different. That's how you perceive the world. It's so cool. And that helps us understand each other so much.
What we're coming to a time and an age where we're about to start to venture off onto living on the surface of the moon, living on the surface of Mars, and this will give us new information. You know how we talk about planets going retrograde? Well, when the new people are living on the planet of Mars, they're going to be able to see Earth when it goes retrograde.
That's yes, yes. And I really can't help but think that the Earth has a
Mhm.
certain mass, weight, all of that good stuff, the core of it, the heat. The planets definitely have an effect on us. The moon being the most obvious, scientifically proven that the moon has an effect on our tides, on our
Mhm.
moods, on so much of the earth. It definitely affects us. Some of the other planets are a little bit further away and may affect us a little less, but each planet affects us in a certain way. So if we're on a different planet with different mass, different core, different gravity, different everything, what will be the effect there? I think it would be so exciting to see how those moons from, like, say, Mars has how many moons? I should know this. I know at least two. I think it's
What? Mars's moons? There's two.
okay, so it is two. So
Yes.
two moons, what is the effect of the moon? Because it's going to be a different moon, obviously. And energy says, hence the term lunatic. Yes. How the moon affects us. Yes. And it's proven, scientifically proven that the moon absolutely has effect on Earth and on humans. So
Yes.
how would Mars's moon affect us on Mars? How would Venus being right next to Mars, wouldn't that have a bigger effect than Venus on Earth?
Mm-hmm.
I get excited, Journey. I'm sorry.
I know, and it's okay. We're allowed. This is your time to run with it and to let people know. And but the thing about we were talking about those obstacles where with Libra, when it's in its negative form, takes on these traits. But if you've got a healthy Libra, this is one that is living in the same reality as the others, and not taking on your negativities onto themselves, but showing you. Now, this is where they can, if they're a healthy Libra, but they can also feel pushy with trying to show you. And a lot of people, and a lot of, I'm going to say, hell, all the signs are going to see it as stop pushing your narrative. And at that point, they're still going to find them to be a negative sign, even though they're being healthy and they're in a good
Yeah.
place. They're actually trying to help you at that point. And a lot of people see them as stop pushing your narrative onto me.
I
It's
I
not.
can't help but think that it's really hard, difficult for Librans to be healthy
Yeah,
energetically, because balance is such a difficult thing to find. And then factoring in other humans, um, situations and everything, I think it makes it even harder. And Tiffany says, I keep imagining seeing Venus like the moon. Wouldn't that be cool?
that would be amazing.
That would be cool. Energy saying, loving this rabbit hole right up my alley. Energy, we're gonna need to bring you on this show sometime, but it would never end with both of us. We're gonna have to put you on with Journey because, well, I don't know, because all three of us together, we would be kind of jumping up and down.
But I was going to say the same thing about being a Libra. It is hard. That's why you're going to see yourself around with Libra to be a harder sign that a lot of people have a hard time because everybody's like, oh, they're all about making balance and justice. Sometimes it is for you, but a lot of times it's for them to grasp because they've gained
Yeah.
all this. Let's say you're communicating with that Libra. That Libra's trying to create balance for you, but at the same time, they're taking in all that negativity you're releasing. And now
Yep.
you got to be careful because Libras are like sponges. They're going to absorb it all because they think they're helping you by doing that and taking your pain, but they're not getting rid of it. See, they're creating the balance in a sense that they think is right, but they're not letting it go because Libra doesn't see to release it and recycle it and learn from it. They try to balance that negativity, and there is no
Yeah.
balancing negativity if you're not finding that way to release it. By releasing it and recycling that energy is how you're balancing yourself, but that's the one thing they're failing to do. So if you're a Libran and you need to find that balance, you guys would benefit massively from some meditation, some grounding, salt baths, things of that nature. You will need it more so than many other signs, but I would suggest even sleeping with a glass of salt water sitting beside your bed to eliminate any
Yeah.
type of negative thoughts while you're dreaming, because your brain is also going to be processing all of that information that you just received, and that'll keep you up at night. And a lot of things that you saw in a dream is because it was somebody else's energy that you absorbed, and you're trying to process it like it's your own. They need to
And it's,
separate those energies, what's mine and what's not mine.
oh, that's really hard for Libra.
Mm-hmm.
And one of even a healthy Libra is in serious, especially a healthy Libra is in serious danger of self-sacrificing entirely too much, especially a healthy Libra. By balancing other people's lives, they don't look at their own. And a lot of Librans fall into the trap of helping so many people that they become they tend to feel taken advantage of, and that leads
Yeah.
to life is not fair, this is not fair, why do I have to give to everybody else when they created the situation, they don't know how to get out of it because they don't know how to say no.
Right.
Yeah.
They got to learn to say no. They have to learn to let go. And they need, this is one of the hardest things for Libra, is letting things go. You can't, if you have to let things go for things that you can't control. Libras want to control it to find the balance in it. They can't help it. It's like they're a hoarder of issues that can't be solved. And instead of releasing that energy, they're still in their minds trying to figure it out, which can dilute their reality. And that's
Yes.
why I like really hard for Librans to show themselves as a healthy Libra, because they take it, they sponge it all in. And it's not that they're doing it purposely to hurt anybody, because it does end up causing a little bit of crazy. They're doing it
Yeah.
because they think they're doing what's right.
Yes, they that sense of justice and fairness is very strong in a lot of Libras. And energy says Libra is a real mishmash of cardinality, air, the mental, and then Venus aspects, which is Libra's ruling planet. And Venus does, because Venus is how you love, how you relate to other people. And then that constellation being created out of two separate constellations to become one, that Venus, that how you love can hardly ever be alone. You'd have to have some other strong, really strong planets and signs in placements with a Libra sun chart or a Libra ascendant chart that could keep you from becoming completely codependent and needing love and needing reassurance all the time. And there are some Libras out there with some hella strong placements that they want to be alone sometimes, and good for them. It, I would want that if I were a pure Libra. I would want to have some kind of placement in my chart to keep me separate from becoming somebody else.
That's why I'm happy that we are not defined by just one sign,
Yes,
because the other signs will help a Libra balance. But I've seen
absolutely.
some Libras that were, Libra sun, Libra rising, Libra moon, and they have like 4 or 5 planets in Libra. I've seen it happen. Kind of like I'm a Cancer with 4 planets in Virgo,
Right.
you know? So I'm not your typical Cancer because of that. And some of these Librans, they have these different planets that help balance them. So that's why I'm saying not all Libras are bad. We're not talking badly, but it is harder for a Libra to find that balance, and they're on constant search for balance always. That's a part of their thought process that never stops.
So I'm a Libra ascendant, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a very strong placement in Mars, but it just so happens to be Scorpio. And then have a really weak placement with Venus, which just so happens to be in Virgo. So I may just be screwed.
I heard it already. Give them another chance. Squirrel, put it
Oh,
together. Libra showing.
yeah, yeah, Journey does. I was like, but they did this because, and Journey will say, yeah, squirrel, your Libra show and put it away. I said,
Put it away. Put it away. Because when someone shows themselves, and I'm going to steal the words right out of Kay's mouth, if someone shows themselves, believe them. Believe them.
see, yep, and I really have a hard time doing that. It takes me forever. And Energy says, so agree. My sun is Sag, but I have a super strong Capricorn due to it being a rising sign and a strong Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. It's how the entire chart looks. Exactly, Energy, exactly. Because we
Speaking
are
of
not
chart,
just our sun.
but
Ah,
speaking of charts, if you guys would like to get your natal charts read, you can go to mypsychicconnection.com, look up Astro Swirl, and set up an appointment with Astro Squirrel, and she will walk you through your amazing chart and give you the information that you would need. And you'll get to see a whole side of you that when you read, let's say you're a Cancer and you read about Cancer, you're like, but I don't relate to all those things, because you're not just one sign, you're multiple signs. And this is how it misses, this is how you match with these signs. What's stronger? What's weaker? You might come to realize that your one sign, which is your sun sign, is actually weaker than the other signs that are showing up in your chart in a stronger position.
and I'm trying to think. I get my detriments and falls confused. But Libra, I think it's detriment. Libra is
Mm-hmm.
at detriment, or the sun is detriment in Libra, which means it's not very happy there. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
weak there. Um, and think about it. If the sun is your ego, if the sun is your conscious mind, of course it would be weak in Libra, because you are no longer just you. You're putting so much out to other people that you're not able to be completely you. So it's very weak there. So if you do have a Libra sun, it could be a very weak sun, and you could have like a strong Mars, like Mars in Aries or Mars in Scorpio, or you could have a really strong Venus, and that would be what you identify with because that sun is so weak.
Hmm. It was funny how you stated that, when it came to Aquarius writing modern day astrology along with Librans, they're both considered weaker signs compared to the others.
Yeah, because,
And I think
well,
it's Aquarius that are the weakest ones
Aquarius is
on that.
at the fall. It
Right.
is the weakest sun there is, yes, because Aquarius
Mhm.
is all about groups of people. Libra is one-on-one other, and Aquarius is whole group. So you lose the core identity in a group. You become one of many. And
Mhm.
in a one-on-one relationship, you become two, you become a pair. There is no me, I. It's all for the good of all. So the sun is happiest being me, you know?
Mhm.
Like the sun is
Exactly.
strongest in Leo and then in Aries. And it's supposed to, so it might be a weak sun, but it doesn't make somebody a weak person. Does that make
It doesn't.
sense?
Exactly. But we talk about these things so you guys get an understanding, because I know these are things that if you read astrology, you read horoscopes, you're going to read things like Aquarius, Libra are the weakest sun signs. But again, like Squirrel was just saying, is these are doesn't mean that you are weak because you are under these signs. It doesn't make that. And as a matter of fact, it wasn't until what 19 was it 1930 when
It
sun
was
signs became.
in the 1930s. I can't think of the exact year, but it might have been 1930. But yeah, it was the ascendant up until then that was the strongest piece of who we are. But Ah, I wish I'd written this down. I know it was Chiro's assistant. Chiro was a really well-known palmist and astrologer. And when
Mm-hmm.
Princess Margaret was born, they asked Chiro to write an article about who she would be based on astrology. He couldn't do it, so his assistant did it for him. And it really took off and became real popular. So this was in England. So the England Post, I think it was, asked him to do some weekly ones, and he was doing whole charts, and he um he predicted the sinking of a ship, and he was right. A ship went down that October, and the population went nuts. They're like, there's something to this. So the newspapers wanted something daily, and Chiro and his assistants were both like, this would take up entire volumes of papers. So they designed or devised a sun sign and split it into 12 so that they could do it every day or weekly. And that's how the sun signs became the most prevalent sign. So sorry, went into teacher mode again. I'm so sorry.
No, no, absolutely. That's what this is about, breaking down astrology, figuring out why certain things are and how did we get to this point, and talking about that and allowing people to know that, you're not defined by your sun sign. You're not just defined by your rising sign or the moon or, Mars, Venus. They do play a factor,
They
but
certainly do.
you're not defined by just one sign. But your sun sign does bring forth a lot of your traits. A lot of your traits do come out of your sun sign.
Well, again, yes, it is your ego, which ego is not a bad thing. It's our awareness of other people. Egotistical has become a bad word, but egotistical is all about me. But ego is the awareness of other people, and we want to look good for those people, right? We want to
So
be
the sun,
presentable.
so
But
from here on out, rather than calling it a word that people can see as a damaging one, we can maybe we should just call it the awareness of the sun.
the awareness of the sun. So it's that, and it's your conscious actions, what you choose to do. And each sign will have an effect on how you choose to do things. Will you be barky about it like a Capricorn? Will you do everything in a strong, solid way? Will you be gentle about it like a Pisces? Or will you be passive aggressive about it like a Libra? Or, and those are very key wordy things. That's not all there is to any of them. But it really colors the way that you act everything out. Um, it's that conscious awareness of everything around you and how I am going to be, how I choose to be. Energy says, and in the 70s, I think, yes, it was the 70s, Linda Goodman's book on sun signs became really popular, re-emphasizing sun signs to the public. It sure did. She really did a lot to bring astrology back into the mainstream as well. Yes, she did.
Well, your rising sign is usually how you charge forward with the situation too.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of people call that a mask. I really hate it when, because a mask is something you can take off.
Right.
Your rising sign, that's okay. So that's where the sun was the moment you were born, coming up over the eastern horizon. Where was the sun? What sign was it in? And it's really that your very first perception of the world, that light that you're drawn to. So it's how we perceive the world and how we allow the world to perceive us. And it's pretty much a default system. Like when you meet somebody new, how are they going to perceive you? They're going to perceive you as your ascendant. Like your ascendant is a Sagittarius, correct?
Yes.
And Sagittarius are fun and loud and bold and exciting and thinking
Not
of new
me.
things constantly. And yeah, so you're being perceived as a Sagittarius, whereas in energy is a Sagittarius sun, but she's got that Capricorn rising and she's perceived as serious and down to earth and dignified and knowledgeable, and Sagittarius, she's got like all of it because Sagittarius is knowledgeable. You have a lot of knowledge. You love to share that knowledge with people, Journey. And that's your Sagittarius ascendant interacting with the world. And you do it in a very Cancerian way with love and care and protection. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
100%.
Okay. Yeah, energy, the first impression people have of you. Yes,
Mhm.
on a good day, maybe. But yeah, it is a first impression. And it's certainly not a mask. It is a default. Like if you're in a situation where you are unsure of the people around you, like my Libra ascendant, if I'm uncomfortable or if I don't know the people around me, I'm going to be friendly. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to show that Libra inside that can talk to a wall, and by golly, the wall is gonna talk back. You
Hmm.
know?
I
Yeah.
have a little message for those of you who are Librans and want to, because you hear about the bad side and we've talked about the good side and how hard it is. Before taking on the power, the superpower of trying to find balance for everyone else, make sure you balance your energies first before interacting with somebody else, because the slightest thing to throw you off, it is not hard to throw off a Libra. If you can find a way to give yourself that mental power, that mental strength, that emotional strength, find that balance when you go to help others, it'll be harder for them to throw you off and make you feel what doesn't belong to you. And will also allow you to let it roll off your back and recycle into the universe. That way you're not absorbing it like a sponge. So it's like putting starch all over you. You're putting the
Yeah.
starch shield around you so it just rolls off rather than you absorbing it as a sponge going, I'm going to take care of this problem. I'm going to find the balance in it so we won't have this problem. You don't Libras have to find in the world that they don't have to do things by themselves. and not
And
everything is left up to them to solve. It is not meant that way. But they can't help it in
yeah,
their nature. That's the heart. That's the heart of Libra.
and also the heart of Libra really truly is to give everybody else. Like a healthy Libra wants to give everybody
Mhm.
that love, that respect, that that acknowledgement. And they do it so often they forget their people too, that they
Yeah,
deserve. Give themselves that love and respect and acknowledgement first. And if they can't do it for themselves, they can't really do it for anyone else. And energy
they
said, love this message journey.
it's hard to be, and I don't usually say this about certain signs, but with Libra I've always seen it to be hard for to be a Libra, which I thank my lucky stars that it's not a strong sign within my own chart. But it does come in handy when you want to create balance, because like Libras, or like Virgos, Libras have that same overthink, 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 overthink. But the problem is that they're not getting, they're creating the balance, not actually looking at balance. See, they're trying to solve a problem that's not meant to be solved, but by the person whose energy it belongs to.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what throws them off. They want to solve that. They want to make sure, like you said, everybody gets that love, but at the same
It's
time, as they're, everybody needs to recharge. So, like we were saying with the other, all the other signs, because this puts Aquarius in there too, is that they're the group, give it to everybody. Libra's that pair trying to help that one individual in front of them, and everybody else has got that moment where they can recharge because it's about me, it's about it's
yeah.
about, they find the easier to ground than a Libra or an Aquarian, because the Aquarian's trying to give it to a mass group of people. The Libra's trying to sit that one person down and try to make them understand what they're feeling when they're not ready to understand it. They don't want to feel it. But Libra seems to see it and go, this is a problem and it's throwing you off balance. So I'm going to absorb this for you. And it's hard
I
for
have
them.
often said that I would sell that Libra ascendant for a quarter. Anybody want it?
Yeah, I
10
think
cents.
you might
It's a
have to
deal.
pay other people to take it, because it is
Yeah,
a
nobody
hard
wants.
one. It's hard to, it's a one hard one to process,
Yeah. Yeah, it
because then
is.
it makes, and sometimes Libras feel like they're weakened because of it. And as a matter of fact, if they do things like protect themselves and protect their energy first, and I know it's hard for a Libra to think of themselves first in that sense, because they think that they're going to give balance to people. And sometimes the balance that they seek is not balance for you or anybody around them, it's balance for them, but it causes chaos with everybody else. So it
Oh,
can flip
yeah.
flop, it can go either way. So
That's that
it's just like,
passive aggressive and
mhm.
oh, that I've seen some really, really mean Libras.
Oh yeah, me too. I got a list. I got a list. But it doesn't make me change anything about them, because I can understand that side of them. But not everybody's going to see that side of them, and they're not going to look at the astrological sign that person is. Who are they? What are they? And something I've seen when they become passive aggressive, and that's the first impression that you get, because of the way Gemini holds themselves sometimes, they get mistaken as Geminis.
They do, but I think they're way more complicated than Geminis because at
Mm-hmm.
least
Oh yeah.
Geminis are animate twins. And, you know, this is they're twins. They are duality, but we're talking from Estrella, the goddess that stayed with humankind until the very end. She was the last goddess to leave, to Scorpio, who's just designed to kill you. You know, like
And I can say one of the best things that I've seen, that I've noticed, that some of the best writers that I like to read, they're Libras.
one of the one of the traits that Libra is most strongly known for is their ability to communicate eloquently. They have a very good way with words when they don't have a Gemini moon. And Energy said, just had a thought. Libra is the love child of Virgo and Scorpio. Oh, Lord Almighty, poor
And poor Libra was trying to make balance of those two signs. No wonder it's so hard for that damn child. Good one there, Energy. But with every sign, we all have our difficult moments. We all have our, we have our good sides, we have our bad sides. There's a flip side to everything. So, if you are, like I said, a Libra that's out there listening, there are ways to help protect you. So the balance that you're seeking to put out there becomes healthy balance, and it doesn't throw you into chaos, because no good comes from a unhealthy Libra.
And that's one of the things about our charts is
Mm-hmm.
right within our charts are our strengths and weaknesses, and a lot of times what we perceive as our weakness, how to turn them into strengths. It's all there in our charts, how
Mm-hmm.
to use every part of ourselves to come to balance. And that's for every sign. We all have balance right there. But how do we do it if we don't even know what it is?
Exactly. Wow. Libras, you have to do a little extra work, but you can create the balance. This way, you're not seen as a toxic character. And with their communication, we were just talking about how the way they communicate, they can't come off when they're trying to create that healthy energy, like they're barking orders at you.
and
And a lot of
then
people resist that.
they'd be like, oh, I didn't mean it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did know that Libras are good with the fantasy world. It's the stories of the fantasy. It's the ones that's the stories that you see that have a lot of imagination, a lot of things that you wouldn't think or look at it in those certain ways. So they do create entertainment for us.
Well, as Energy mentioned earlier, it is ruled by Venus. And
Mm-hmm.
Venus does have a lot of imagination and
Passion.
ability to create associated to her. So the planet that rules the zodiac sign also has a very prominent play in that sign. It's part of that sign. So that creativity and love of beauty and that creation of an amazing world. Like Libras could build whole worlds in their heads.
I
Pisces is
call it
not.
the space that it's usually the space that they consider to hold on to whatever problem they're trying to help you balance. So they got room. Got room in there. They're like, I'll take a little bit of this story, a little bit of that story, mixed together. Poof, I've made you a perfect story for you to read, to entertain. And
Oh,
like a jester, they're there and they're entertaining you.
and they do like to tell the stories. They do. And they will
Mhm.
embellish a story, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, no.
Yeah.
Energy
Energy
mind
says
game.
mind games, maybe. Ooh, an unhealthy Libra. Oh gosh, yes, mind games. Mind games for sure.
But
Yeah.
there's
But
again, there's that bad side of it. There's also the good side of it where they can tell
right.
a fun story. Just and again, here we go with lightening the moon to make you feel better. They're telling
Yeah.
this story to entertain you, to bring you back up,
Yeah.
no matter how much it's damaging them. And that's why I say protect yourself first and allow
Yep.
yourself to share that. But Squirrel, you know how
Yeah.
fast this hour flies.
Dang. This was
I know.
fun. Thank you, Journey.
This is absolutely amazing, guys. Now we are going to get back down to a astrology breakdown next week. So we'll be talking about many topics, not just about Libra, but tonight's show is about Libra, the mythology of astrology of Libra. And so that way you guys know that it was an added sign. how many of you guys knew that it wasn't part of the Greek astrology? It wasn't introduced until much later, 1,000 years later, when the Romans added it in. It became adopted. It's the adopted child of Scorpio and Virgo.
It blows me away. Ooh, and next
I'm
month
gonna
we
say
get to do the Scorpio.
Ooh, yes, Scorpio,
Oh,
guys, get ready for it. We'll be doing that
yeah,
one next month.
yeah. But
I know.
next week we
I'm
get to.
excited. I know a lot of family members of mine will be tuning in because we got a lot of Scorpios in this.
Mine too.
Yes, yes. Well, Squirrel, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your knowledge and insight and telling these beautiful stories. It's absolutely amazing how you do so much research and we learn so much along the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do it on your network. I just love this. Thank you.
It's absolutely amazing. Well, guys, from everyone here, Squirrel and I at My Psychic Connection, we want to say thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you, and we will see you guys again next week for the Astrology Breakdown. Have a good night, everybody.